Rachel Zegler makes a sudden exit from the stage during Evita.
Rachel Zegler just got canceled after storming out of the Evita performance mid-show, leaving understudy Bella Brown to save the night and steal the spotlight.
In the end, it's really not about talent. It's about watching someone who thought they were above it all finally get humbled. And as far as Hollywood drama goes, this is the sort that not a lot of people can look away from.
Disney is now scrambling to do damage control, gagging her from press events as fans demand her replacement. Some people simply remain pathetic.
An eyewitness tells E! News that around 15 minutes into the interval, it was announced that her understudy, Bella Brown, would be stepping in to finish the show.
July 24th, a regular night at Evita. Lights up, Act 1 ends. The audience heads to the lobby, thinking they'll be back in a few minutes for that legendary "Don't Cry for Me Argentina" moment. That's what they paid for. That's what they came to see. That's what Rachel was hired to deliver. Except she vanishes. Poof.
Bella later said on her Instagram stories after the show, "Today really showed just how important swings and covers are within this industry. They are the pillars of a show. A proud day to be at Evita." Rachel is currently scheduled to return for the July 25th evening performance of the show.
15 minutes into the interval, someone finally announces that Bella Brown, the understudy, not that Rachel bothered to introduce her ever, would be finishing the rest of the show. That's right. The literal star of the show just tapped out like it was amateur night. And the poor audience, bless their confused little theater-loving souls, had to sit in limbo for 40 to 45 full minutes waiting for Act 2 to continue. That's longer than some people's relationships.
Paying customers are waiting to see her on stage, and she took off and headed to a balcony where she could belt out Evita's hit song, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," live for free to strangers on the street.
But here's the best part. When Bella Brown finally stepped out on that iconic balcony, the moment Rachel was too busy flaking perform, the audience exploded. Literal standing ovation. We're talking the kind of applause that makes roofs tremble and egos deflate. If Andrew Lloyd Webber was cashing royalty checks that night, Bella's version of the scene was the only reason those checks had weight.
Snow White, the film that bombed so hard that it only brought in $50 a screen over Mother's Day weekend, is now somehow the #1 streaming hit on Disney+. And before you ask, you're going to say, how did this happen?
And of course, Bella took to Instagram like a total pro. She didn't name drop, didn't throw shade, not directly anyway. Just praised the swings and covers for being the pillars of the show. We're the ones who actually show up when it matters. A proud day for Bella, a mortifying day for Rachel. And get this, she's scheduled to return on July 25th, the next night. Because of course she is. There's nothing like abandoning a stage and then casually scheduling your comeback like you're Beyoncé.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed.
But let's not pretend this is just a one-night screw-up. The entire 40 to 45-minute intermission might as well have been a live Twitter roast. People went from "Where's Rachel?" to "Who cares, Bella is better?" in real time. The only thing faster than the applause was the internet dragging. Suddenly, Rachel's not the star anymore. She's the problem that made the star. The PR break wasn't just offstage. It was a full-on narrative rewrite. And Rachel got written out.
Headline after headline demonstrating the horrible reputation that she has made for herself because she just can't seem to keep her own thoughts in her brain.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's biggest note of the night. Not some dramatic crescendo. Nope. It was Bella's standing ovation. That was the real musical climax. Meanwhile, Rachel's name isn't even in the applause credits. It's in the incident report. Let's talk crisis math for a second. You got 15 minutes of awkward silence while everyone's whispering, then 30 minutes of panic backstage. Then boom, an understudy walks out and nails it. That's not just a gap in the show. That's a career-size headline. Rachel's PR team probably aged 10 years in that intermission alone.
About the very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office. You know what I'm talking about.
Honestly, are we even surprised anymore? This is the same Rachel Zegler who was once the Hollywood dream. She was chosen from 30,000 people, yes, 30,000, to star in West Side Story. She was the youngest actress ever to win a Golden Globe for Best Actress. It was supposed to be the ultimate underdog to icon story, a real-life Cinderella moment.
I'm a narcissist.
Well, plot twist, because now it's looking a lot less like Cinderella and a lot more like the villain origin story of someone who just keeps tripping on her own ego. The fairy tale arc has officially face-planted into controversy after controversy. First, it was the Snow White casting, then the political rants, and now this mid-show ghosting. Rachel's trajectory has become so predictable, you could set your watch to it. Public goodwill turned into public eye rolls. Hollywood thought they had a rising star. Turns out they just had a drama magnet in a tiara. Speaking of faceplants, let's look at Snow White's projected box office. You ready for this? The live-action remake headlined by Miss I Don't Cry for Me Zegler is on track to make a glorious $50 million in its opening weekend in the U.S. and Canada. Sounds okay. Cool. Until you realize it's an epic nosedive compared to Disney's other remakes. The Lion King pulled in $192 million. Beauty and the Beast $175 million. And now Rachel Snow White, the one with all the feminist updates and hot takes, is crawling in at $50 million like it lost a glass slipper halfway to theater because she knows nothing except screaming and yelling.
Things are already shaping up to be a bit of a poop show? No, I don't like that.
And you know what Disney's doing to promote it? Basically nothing. Radio silence. Why? Because their lead actress is now a certified walking headline hazard. They're probably terrified she'll open her mouth and drop another grenade into the campaign. Marketing throttle down has officially begun. You know what this all boils down to? A beloved classic remade into a culture war lightning rod because of one person. Rachel tried to modernize Snow White, and the audience responded with, "Cool, we won't be seeing it."
Terrible and a little bit hilarious. You know what I mean. What I have found to be exceptionally funny in the lead up to this film is how Disney has seemingly gone out of its way to stop its lead actress, Rachel Zegler, from talking to basically any media.
You can't make this up. You've got a historic Disney property, a global platform, and a fan base ready for nostalgia. And somehow the whole thing gets detonated by one actress who keeps proving that she thinks being controversial is more valuable than being likable. And let's be clear, it's not that she walked off stage one time. It's that she keeps walking off the trust people gave her. Whether it's her commitment to a live show or her respect for a legacy character, it's always the same story. Make a mess, say something smug, disappear, then pretend nothing happened.
An iconic song, yes, but it's the balcony grabbing all the attention.
The Evita moment was just the latest in a long chain of professional red flags, but it hit different because it was live. You can't edit out walking off stage. You can't retweet it into something clever. You can't blame it on being taken out of context. You either showed up or you didn't. And Rachel
Snow White said that harm should befall Trump and his voters. Do not see this film.
And poor Bella Brown, the understudy, who was probably getting half the applause just days earlier, suddenly becomes the audience's hero. She didn't just finish the show, she replaced the narrative. And she did it without screaming into a mic about feminism or cancel culture or any of the usual sclerisms. She just did her job. That's it. That's all people wanted from Rachel. 2. Clip 16. But no, she had to make it complicated. She had to turn a simple performance into a headline. She had to remind the world once again that she's always one quote, one tweet, or one disappearance away from another PR disaster. And when your job is literally just to show up and say the lines, that's not just unprofessional, that's pure ego. So Disney had to do what any company does when their star actress is one sound bite away from self-destructing. They shut her mic off. Literally. On March 5th, 2025, there was supposed to be this glamorous red carpet London premiere for Snow White. You know, the kind with flashing cameras, press interviews, and a smiling cast pretending this movie isn't a complete PR dumpster fire. She's very good at alienating not only her viewers, but just viewers in general with everything that she says and every social media post she makes. But instead of that, Disney just went, nope, not doing the circus. They scrapped the London premiere entirely and quietly sneaked the whole event over to Spain. Secret location, limited press. Basically, they were trying to keep Rachel as far away from live microphones as humanly possible.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Then came March 15th, 2025, so-called LA premiere. And honestly, it was a joke. There were no traditional red carpet interviews, no messy reporters waiting to ask Rachel about her weird Stalker Prince comments. Instead, Disney handpicked photographers like they were curating an art gallery. They even had Jodie Benson, the original voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, doing the interviews. When you have to bring in literal Disney royalty to babysit your actress, you know things have hit rock bottom.
Original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
Martin Kleba, who voices Grumpy in the film, didn't sugarcoat it either. He came out and flat out said, all this chaos is happening because of Rachel's never-ending controversies. Disney's approach was simple. Fewer questions, fewer disasters. They built an entire PR panic room just to keep her under control. And honestly, when your lead princess can't even do basic press without blowing up the internet, you don't have a movie. You have a time bomb. Rachel wasn't doing press tours. She was being muzzled like a toddler in a candy store who can't stop screaming.
But we'll assume is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows?
And this is where things start spiraling from just bad to, oh dear God, who greenlit this? Let's talk about the Seven Dwarfs fiasco. After Peter Dinklage called out Disney for the original portrayal of dwarfs being backward, Disney decided to scrap the concept entirely. Instead of, actually hiring talented actors with dwarfism who could bring depth to these roles, they replaced them with, I kid you not, magical creatures. What does that even mean? Magical how? Magical in the sense that they magically destroyed the last shred of authenticity this film had.
Scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up.
Naturally, the backlash came hard and fast. Actors with dwarfism were furious. Jason Acuna, a.k.a. Weeman from Jackass, was especially livid. He said what everyone was thinking. Disney just stole job opportunities from real people and handed them to CGI cartoons nobody wanted. And if you've seen the leaked set photos, you know the internet had a field day. Memes everywhere. It was like a circus of bad decisions. The outrage got so bad Disney panicked, scrapped the original plan, and went back to reshoot entire scenes.
And they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
The result, a full-year delay in some of the worst-looking CGI abominations you could possibly imagine. And even though Rachel wasn't the one who decided to replace the dwarfs, she still became the face of every single bad decision. Because at this point, her name is just glued to disaster. And of course, Rachel didn't help herself with the way she kept trashing the 1937 classic that made Snow White iconic in the first place. She called Prince charming, weird, and stalkerish, which is ironic because if you've seen her interviews, that same energy could describe her attitude toward her own fan base. And let's not forget the golden quote, "I'm not bleaching my skin for the role." Sure, Rachel, no one asked you to, but way to pour gasoline on a debate that didn't even need more fire. That single line turned a casting decision into a cultural battlefield.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Disney tried to update the music, too. They asked Someday My Prince Will Come, one of the most legendary Disney songs of all time, and shoved in Waiting on a Wish, which, let's be honest, nobody's waiting to hear. Fans were already skeptical of this remake, and Rachel's attitude made it worse. She even smugly said, "We didn't do that this time," like it was some feminist power move. Yeah, well, you also didn't do winning people over this time, Rachel.
Anyway, we know that our girl Rachel likes to yap, so if she's going out of her way to basically escape talking to the media about the film that she's starring in, then I think we can reasonably assume that some things are going on behind the scenes.
And if calling the original film extremely dated wasn't bad enough, she then had the nerve to turn around and ask those same fans to buy tickets. Imagine insulting someone's childhood memories and then holding out your hand asking for their money. That's not confidence. That's delusion. But we're just getting warmed up because the real nuclear bomb in Rachel's career came from her political rants. This girl thought it was a great idea to jump on social media and say that Trump supporters should never know peace. Oh yeah, that'll play real well with Disney's family-friendly image. Nothing screams wholesome princess like alienating half the country with a single tweet.
That is not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Megyn Kelly practically detonated over this. She went on air, called Rachel a pig, and demanded Disney fire her. And honestly, you can't even blame Megyn for going full scorched earth on her. Rachel handed her the flamethrower. And just when you think Disney might stand behind their actress, the February 2D25 Vulture article drops, revealing the obvious. Disney is terrified of its own audience. After years of pushing political agendas and taking backlash for it, they're finally realizing the audience isn't playing along anymore.
It was a wholesome family film, and now they've turned it into woke trash. Check this out from Men Wokeness. Disney's Snow White said that harm should befall Trump and his voters. Do not see this film.
And let me tell you, Disney tried to reel her in. They personally called her. They begged her to tone it down. They even called her management team, probably on speed dial at this point. But Rachel, nope, she doesn't listen. She's too busy being authentic, which is just code for I'll tank this movie on my own terms.
This is purely because Rachel Zegler is just this awful. The truth is that Warner Brothers actually did this a few years ago with relation to The Flash because its lead actor, Ezra Miller, was caught up in some controversy too. Except that Miller's was like kidnapping and screaming at police.
It's almost impressive in a train wreck sort of way. Most actors have to work for years to ruin a big Disney opportunity. Rachel managed to do it in record time. Between ditching Evita mid-show, mocking a 1937 classic, and alienating millions of potential viewers, she's basically created the perfect how-to guide for career sabotage. And you know what? This isn't just about a bad PR moment. It's about someone who genuinely seems to think they're untouchable. Disney built a billion-dollar brand on lovable characters who respect their fans. Meanwhile, Rachel's over here acting like the fans should be grateful she even showed up. Well, newsflash, Rachel. You didn't show up. Not for Evita. Not for Snow White. Not for anyone but yourself.
Like, don't get me wrong, I know that there are some people, or probably many people, who've worked really hard on this movie, but I do love watching Disney collapse in on itself. Disney is living proof that you can try to ride one pendulum swing and then get smacked in the face when it changes direction.
Let's get into the so-called Snow White sisterhood, which is less sisters united and more like a silent Cold War on stage. On one side, you have Galadoo, the Israeli superstar who's playing the evil queen. On the other side, you got Rachel Zegler, who decided in late 2020 to fire off a Free Palestine tweet like she was auditioning for the role of Twitter Activist of the Year. The internet hasn't stopped dissecting the Oscars clip of these two standing together since. Every side eye, every stiff smile, every micro-expression is treated like it's proof of frozen tension. And honestly, it's not hard to believe. Disney can pretend all day long that these two are besties. But the reality, it looks like they'd rather be anywhere else than standing next to each other.
About the very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office. You know what I'm talking about.
Disney loves to market this whole strong women supporting each other vibe. It's all about sisterhood optics. But reality loves drama. And the fractures between these two are almost impossible to hide. When your lead and your villain can't even fake a little friendly chemistry on stage, it's a disaster for the press tour. What should have been a fun series of interviews and photo ops turned into a minefield. Every event had to be staged, managed like a hostage negotiation. And Disney's ultimate solution, just keep everyone locked in the bunker. If Rachel and Gal don't appear together, then the tension doesn't exist, right? Sure, let's all pretend that works.
Anyway, back in late 2024, when Zegler tweeted about the Snow White trailer getting millions of views on YouTube, she followed up her post with another stating, "Free Palestine."
But here's the thing. Rachel is not just awkward with her co-stars. She's flat out impossible to control. Industry insiders have already been spilling the tea, and the verdict is unanimous. Disney's lead actress is out of control. She won't listen. This isn't just some anonymous rumor on Reddit. This is coming from people inside the machine. Apparently, Disney and her management have been calling her directly, practically begging her to tone it down, to stop running her mouth, to quit making an entire film about her personal political crusades. And what does Rachel do? Absolutely nothing. She ignores every piece of advice like it's beneath her. It's like she's allergic to listening.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infatata is the only global solution.
And the audience, oh, they've had enough. Enter the hashed replace Rachel movement. This isn't just a few salty fans tweeting into the void. This is a full-in campaign to get her booted from her own movie. The hashtag exploded with suggestions. Some people want Lily Collins to take over. Others think Disney should just give up and animate the whole thing again. The memes are merciless. My personal favorite. If you hate Snow White so much, remake Frozen and call it Chilly Independent Woman. I mean, tell me that isn't a better tagline than whatever nonsense they're cooking up right now.
Who is the new Snow White, and she's talking about Snow White being woke.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age. And there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all. And
Rachel has somehow become the face of everything people hate about modern Hollywood. She's the avatar of why these remakes keep failing. Disney is trapped. If they fire her, it looks like they're caving to mob rule. But if they keep her, they're basically daring the audience to boycott the movie. It's a lose-lose situation, and Rachel is sitting in the middle of it all, acting like none of this is her fault. And if Disney learned anything from this mess, it's that when your lead spends all her time roasting your movie and your fans, the audience will roast your box office. They wanted to modernize Snow White, but what they got was a PR nightmare wrapped in a ball gown. Instead of being the star of a magical new chapter, Rachel turned herself into the cautionary tale of the year.
In this case, for example, maybe Snow White is just too far away from this generation and can't cross those generational lines. I guess it goes to show that maybe rather than endlessly doing remakes, Disney should invest its money in creating something new.
She wanted to modernize a myth. Congratulations, Rachel. You became one. The myth of how to take a billion-dollar opportunity and reduce it to rubble in 12 easy headlines. It's almost impressive in a self-destructive kind of way. Disney didn't just cast a lead actress. They cast the person most likely to sabotage their own movie while tweeting about empowerment. And then there's the final image we're left with, Evita's balcony. It was supposed to be Rachel's moment of triumph, the kind of Rodin-defining scene that makes careers. Instead, it's Bella Brown standing there soaking up a thunderous standing ovation, while Rachel's name trends online for all the wrong reasons. Bella's performance was the real don't cry for me moment, except nobody's crying for Rachel. They're laughing, roasting, and moving on. Rachel's cancellation notice might not be printed in bold letters yet, but let's be real, the writing's on the wall, and it's spelled out in 45 minutes of silence, a standing ovation for an understudy, and a Disney PR team that's working harder to contain her than they are to promote the actual movie. Subscribe for more brutally honest takes and insane Hollywood meltdowns. It's free, and you won't want to miss the next disaster we roast. Oh,